Saturday, late rain 15, rain then showers and 16 on Sunday, and then showers and windy on Monday and 15. More news as it happens on FiveAA.
This is Peter Godfrey. If you or anyone you know is impacted by problem gambling, call the Gambling Helpline on 1800 858 858.
It is 7 minutes past 5 now. Temperature, we've sort of settled in at about 7 degrees. At the moment, haven't quite got to our overnight low, but I think that's probably low enough. Let's see what it's like the other side of the ditch. Catch up with Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz. Selwyn, how's your side of the ditch this morning?
Not too bad, Peter. It's been quite fine days leading up to today. We've had a few frosts up in the Auckland area, which indicates clear skies, and for this time of the year anyway, doesn't it? But what we've got here, I'm just looking at the Weather Watch website, and what they're advising here is wet and windy in the upper and eastern North Island, and that front, a big front apparently, is sweeping in. We're backed by northeast winds. So if anyone from Adelaide or South Australia is trucking into Auckland, flying into Auckland on one of those direct flights, they can get a bit of a bumpy ride coming in if they're coming in the late afternoon. Okay. The rest of the country, down in the south of the South Island where the ski fields are, there's sunny periods down there, so mean there would be cold and clear skies. But as I understand it, Peter, some of the people that are down there skiing and coming across from Australia haven't been getting a lot of snow. No. Jan's son's over there at the moment with a group of his mates on their big boys' adventure of skiing. I haven't had any reports, but apparently, it's been a bit of the man-made snow, but they've been getting a bit of rain as well, which, isn't really a good combination, snow and rain. Yeah, so this season, the snow season, it looked like it was going to be okay, but the warmth, just like in Australia, it kept going. The autumn just seemed to never end, and that's affected the skiing season to a degree. Like you're saying, there's man-made skiing, man-made snow, but holding that snow and keeping it cold and skiable is the challenge for those on the mountains. Yeah. Having said that, you'd certainly need to get up there with your winter woolies on. I think I did see sort of -4 or -5 or something like that temperature-wise. So, still cold, but just the moisture is the problem. Not quite coming down with those snow flurries and things like that from the south. So, but in Auckland at the moment, we're looking at around about 13, 14 degrees, and the forecast is that a 15 to 16 degrees Celsius high during the later part of the day. Okay. But wet and windy. Okay. Hey, just a quick question without notice. Just somebody raised it earlier. Having just had our election, as you're aware, and the counting is going on. Now, your type of voting changed recently. I can't remember. Did you go to first past the post voting, or did you go away from that? I can't recall. Yeah, we abandoned first past the post voting back in 1996. So there's quite a lead up to that, some years of referendum and making decisions, of course, as it does. 1996 was the first of the MMP, or mixed member proportional representation. Right. And basically how that works is quite simply, you've got your electorate seats that you're voting, you just have one shot at who you prefer there. Mm-hmm. And you've also got a party vote, which for your preferred party, so you get one shot at that. And then the proportions are sorted out. So if you win your electorate seat, if you're campaigning to be an MP, if you get more votes than the other person, you simply get into Parliament. And then the party list proportions, say the Nationals got 47%, well, they'd get 47% of the seats in the House. If they didn't get enough electorate seats to get that 47%, then they're topped up from their National Party list. Okay. And the list MPs go in to top that up. It's a pretty simple system. There is a threshold, 5%. You've got to get over 5% as a party, or you don't get in, unless you've got an electorate seat. Okay. And so you get a few in there with one MP and that type of thing. Okay. New Zealand seems relatively satisfied with that system, and seems to that it gives a lot more attention to the smaller parties and being able to wrap around big issues, but more single, rather than the broad tent parties like the Nationals and the Labour Party, for example, like you've got. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I couldn't quite remember. Somebody asked earlier, and I couldn't quite remember which way you went, because our preferential sort of voting thing it confuses us a lot of the time, or many of us, and then it rattles on, with the counting and all the rest of it. First past the post was seen to be not doing the job. Okay, because it's often be doing it.
often...
And in a quick rundown of the headlines making it over here, the New Zealand Herald, first off, pretty soft front page once again, Peter, some headlining here, woman's gap year tale sparks global outrage. There's a little bit of meat in a couple of the other articles here. Seller rejects 500k bid for a tiny house. That's talking about the Auckland heated up housing market. We'll go into that in a moment. The Chilcot report from the UK, it's citing Tony Blair there. I did not mislead my country. If you go across to Fairfax's Stuff website, which is stuff.co.nz, once again, I've got a bit of a soft front page for you. I'm sorry here, Peter, but it's talking about rugby there. It's got Mr. Blair, with you, whatever, is the quote that they're using from Mr. Blair's response to the Chilcot report. The worst sandwich ever
I saw that one.
is the other one, and who will believe teen skaters? So what we're seeing there, once again, Peter, like I said a couple of weeks ago, that Fairfax's Stuff and New Zealand Herald's owner, NZME, are looking to merge, and while they're going through that dancing with each other stage in this relationship, we're seeing very soft front pages, which is almost news in itself. You flick across to Radio New Zealand and you get a different kind of feeling to what's going on here, more relative and accurate, I'd say. They're leading off here with Tony Blair's Iraq war policy, and they're going deep into that. And then you've got a headline here, teaching Māori language is costing schools. What they're talking about there is schools are having to pay extra to teach their children the Indigenous language in the country here, but they are getting free funding from the government to teach Mandarin, and they're saying that that's not right.
Okay.
Which is obviously a big deal over here, considering a lot of people speak Māori and like their kids to be able to be fluent in it as well. And then there's investors likely to be targeted by the Reserve Bank New Zealand. Now what it's talking about there is some of the measures that are coming across. We'll go into some of those in the housing market, just trying to cool it down. And up to now, the government has been reluctant to even go near trying to curb investors in the way it's going. And then selling is not an option. What they're talking about there is we'll also talk about this, is the government has been making a move to try and flick off Crown land and turn it into residential suburbs to try and get the supply side of the housing problem into gear. What they're doing there is they're looking at South Auckland health land and turning that in there, and some of the people down in South Auckland are saying, no way, this land was supposed to be for health care. So that's the roundup from the various outlets, Peter.
All right, so let's get on this main story we got, which you've alluded to. So more in regard to your housing crisis there, which you've spoken about before. Now, the national government trying to satisfy the public's dissatisfaction. What are they doing to that end, and is it having any success?
Well, yes, absolutely. From the point of view of the dissatisfaction, that is widespread. The polls are showing that people have just about had a gutsful, to put it in plain language, Peter, that the government, up until date, it's not 8 years in office, has always been very reluctant to do hands-on stuff with the New Zealand economy, and housing falls into that economic problem. And so it's thinking to itself, the market will correct. That's the ideology that we've been told, for a long time now. The market will correct itself, and clearly the market will not correct itself here, and people have had enough. And it seems to be affecting all sorts of people. Now, the crisis and how it is played out and how it affects people has multiple fronts here, Peter. It's primarily an overblown residential housing market, like we've reported on your program a number of times this year in particular. Now, the median price, like we reported about a month ago on your program, is inching toward $1 million in Auckland per house. That's the median price, and the prices at the moment are rising, I should say, around $10,000 every month in value.
That's great if you're an investor.
Yeah,
not great for everyone else.
No, and those record numbers of homeless people in Auckland in particular, they're sleeping rough in cars, tents, shacks, living in overcrowded homes like 12, 18 people, 20 people in a house. That is becoming obviously a huge, huge problem. Now, on one front, the ever-increasing cost of housing is locking first-home Kiwi buyers out of ever owning or getting a chance or even hoping to own their own house or their own apartment even. And on the other front, that homeless, like we were talking about, that overcrowding is starting to have an impact in the health status of the country, which obviously is an economic problem too. So for this government, the Nationals here, they're preoccupied with the economy and trying to find efficiencies. What you're seeing here is a fiscal imprudence in their whole economic plan. So you take even, the impact on people out of it, it still hurts the Nationals on this. You put the people back in there and it's hurting people very badly, Peter. The public mood, like we're saying, is dire on this, and the blame is being levelled at the Nationals for sitting on their collective political hands on this for so long that the problem has got out of control. Now, that considered, the government remains here focused on trying to increase the supply side of the supply and demand. So I won't go too deep into the economics and make people think, what's he talking about over there in Kiwi land? But basically, there's a shortfall of houses, a shortfall of sections, a shortfall of land that can be designated to turn into new houses. And that's been a problem right through for at least 10 years now, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. And, of course, when you've got increased demand coming in, people are prepared to pay more and more and more for limited housing stock that is available in Auckland, but even in the whole country in some places. And that problem has been compounded where the government has not got any regulation to try and curb foreign investment or foreign immigration coming into the country that is pushing up the amount of money people are prepared to pay for those houses, and when you look at that, it excludes Kiwis on an ordinary average Kiwi wages and salaries from even having a show at it, Peter. So that's the main big problem here that the government faces. Okay.
And clearly not really, having much in the way of answers. I mean, that issue of, foreign buyers of residential housing, we get that concerns raised here about that, but I think it's a far bigger problem, far less regulated than it is here.
Yes, it is, and that's one of the big problems. Like, you've got some regulation around it in the government, which is the government's, its political survival in some ways relies on and I'm not, singling out any particular part of the world on this, but it is very politically vulnerable if it starts to get hard and a harder face on those that are coming from Southeast Asia and China in particular. And politically it's very, very concerned about upsetting that particular sector of New Zealand voter. That's where an area where the exclusion and regulation relating to foreign investment, even when you strip out countries of origin, the government is very sensitive to doing too much in that area. So that has caused, it's not the cause of the whole problem that we have in New Zealand, clearly, but it's one of those problems that is compounding with many others, like the lack of supply. The government is focusing all on trying to build new houses. It has, ongoing effects there as far as giving people jobs and, working on the construction sites, building houses, etc., fitting them out, getting appliances to fill the houses. So in some ways it's a sensible option, obviously, but then it is doing very little to stop and to regulate and to make sure that foreign investment is just in that new housing area, which is what Australia, as I understand it, has. So people can come in here to New Zealand from overseas very easily and get existing homes and buy existing homes if they've got the coin to do that. They don't feel they're not obligated to buy or to develop or put their money into building new houses, and that's the difference between Australia and New Zealand. The other thing is that New Zealand is experiencing the highest record immigration rates that we've seen. And that's mixed with both people coming back, Kiwis coming back from Australia to New Zealand to settle back over here, but also certainly, and from further abroad, but also certainly with new immigrants coming in to make New Zealand their home at record numbers that we've never seen before. Now, the government and Treasury and the Reserve Bank are all anticipating that rate of immigration flow is going to slow down in the next few years. But at the moment, it's still at record numbers, and that's pushing all these prices up, and Kiwis are being excluded from having their shot at, owning something in their own country.
And all those other problems you referred to as well in regard to that. So, interesting. Can we just have a quick break? Then we've got some rugby to talk about, All Blacks.
Oh, yes, I'm almost embarrassed to keep saying that.
Can't get away from it. It's the heart and soul of New Zealand. So we'll talk more in a moment with you, Selwyn. Be right back with you. Selwyn Manning's with us. He's editor of EveningReport.nz.
What do you get when you cross a world-famous supermarket with one fabulous coastal location? Henley Square Foodland. The state-of-the-art supermarket at Henley Square now makes it even more convenient to shop and get the best for your family. With great service, huge range of groceries, restaurant quality produce that can't be beat, and free undercover car parking for the first 2 hours. Why shop anywhere else? Henley Square Foodland. Check us out at henleysquarefoodland.com.au for more info on our fresh produce and delicious recipe ideas.
Funeral insurance.
Yeah. Hello, we'd like to take out funeral insurance.
To make sure our family is looked after if something happens.
No problem.
Now, does yours become more expensive as I get older?
Yes, it will.
Oh, well, don't worry then. We'll go with Australian Seniors.
With Australian Seniors Funeral Insurance, your premiums reduce by 5% every 5 years. So see how easy it is to protect your family at seniors.com.au. Australian Seniors Insurance Agency, the over 50s insurance specialists. If you change your cover, your premium will be affected. Always check the PDS issued by Hanover Life Re of Australasia Limited. T's and C's apply.
Remember family holidays on the York Peninsula? Hopefully you're still enjoying them. Long walks on the beach, hauling in a fresh catch of whiting, playing a round of golf at a Greg Norman design course. There's never been a better time to start creating tomorrow's memories. Secure your dream coastal property at the Dunes at Port Hughes with 10% off golf course frontage allotments and the stamp duty paid for a limited time. With land starting from $77,500, visit thedunesyorkpeninsula.com.au. Licence number RLA 226409. Conditions apply.
Some builders' idea of a custom-built home is removing a wall from a current house plan or making the living room a little bigger. At Beechwood Homes, the plans for your new home are already in your head. So sit down with them, discuss what it is you really want, get your perfect home down on paper. It's a really exciting process and you'll feel a great sense of ownership. After all, it is your Beechwood home. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Now, Walter, we've been talking about RAA's range of ShopRider mobility scooters for a while now, and it's not till you actually speak with some of the families who've already invested into a mobility scooter for a parent or friend that you realise how life-changing they are.
Absolutely, Jane. The independence a ShopRider mobility scooter offers cannot be underestimated. Suddenly, these people have their lives back. They can go to the shop, the doctor, or to see friends without having to rely on family.
And Walter, RAA literally have a mobility scooter for any situation.
Yes, Jane, we understand our members are all different. That's why we carry a comprehensive range of ShopRider mobility scooters to meet all shapes, sizes and needs.
And right now, you also get a free gift pack valued up to $139 with every mobility scooter, which includes a scooter cover, spare tubes and a flag. So go online, visit your local RAA shop or call to organise a no-obligation free in-home demonstration with Walter and his team. Thank you, Walter, and thank you, RAA.
My pleasure, Jane.
This is Peter Godfrey. If you or anyone you know is impacted by problem gambling, call the Gambling Helpline on 1-800-858-858.
And with us, Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz, taking a look at what's happening across the ditch in New Zealand. Now, Selwyn, the All Blacks, to make it to the big screen, or well, I guess not all of the All Blacks, but All Black captain Richie McCaw, a documentary about him.
Yeah, just when you thought you'd heard everything about the All Blacks, Peter, there's a bit more we can squeeze out of this.
But wait, there's more, yeah.
Just have a thought for those Kiwis, and there are a few that don't like rugby in this country. You know? Can you imagine? It must be like a living hell.
Well, a bit like over here, Aussies that don't like Australian rules footy. So yeah, can understand.
Yeah.
There are
or cricket in summer.
Or cricket, yeah.
Yeah. No, this film is going to be released in cinemas September the 1st, and it's titled Chasing Great. Now, apparently the filmmakers have followed the former All Black Richie McCaw, Peter, particularly, he's become superstar status over here in New Zealand. It's almost, absolute in a sense. It's godlike status in some ways, which is what goes hand in hand with rugby wins over in this place at the moment. But Richie McCaw, having, won 2 successive World Cups, is certainly revered, and the documentary makers, it's a film style, a full-length movie film type of thing, but documentary in style, and they've been following Richie McCaw through the last couple of years and getting an inside kind of eye on his world, if you like. And just looking through the reportages coming through from TV1 and also the New Zealand Herald on this issue most strongly, and it kind of subtitles this whole thing, The Mind of a Champion, and it kind of looks at what has made this guy. He grew up in a small rural town in the heart of the South Island's backcountry, and started his rugby as obviously a little kid, just playing on, some fairly crummy little fields when you look at it from the point of view of the standard of the fields that the international players play on, and got through into the Canterbury side as a young man, and then broke through into the All Blacks and kind of learned his, he made his bones in the All Blacks without any shine. He wasn't shining out, wasn't making a big deal. There wasn't huge spotlights on him. Remember, he came into it around the time when the great late Jonah Lomu was easing out of it, and that spotlight didn't kind of just suddenly go on to Richie McCaw. But he's the kind of guy that just, soldiered on and got there and became, obviously, a world champion for his position and a world champion captain in his own right. So at the bottom of the promo and everything, there's trailers out there for people in Australia that want to suffer this particular thing, Peter. But what it's saying there is basically that it's getting the inside world and trying to figure out what actually makes a guy like this, what compels him, and what makes it possible for a guy of fairly humble from the point of view of location, being able to get through and become such a prominent and iconic figure in New Zealand. Okay. I've got to say that you get a sense, and some people go, "Oh, tut, 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 don't say that, Manning," over here on this side of the ditch. But when you look at the way Richie McCaw is being revered now, it's getting on par with another one of our sporting greats from the mountaineering, if you consider that a sport, Sir Edmund Hillary, who was the first person to get to the top of Mount Everest way back in the 1950s. And he has similar kind of attributes there of being humble. He's not one that gets on talk show circuits and all of that and, talks himself up. He's like that Sir Edmund Hillary, that plods along doing his own thing.
Pretty motivating kind of thing. So when's that come out? Sorry, just running out of time there. So September 1, that's launching in cinemas there in New Zealand, Chasing Great.
September 1 in the main picture theatres, and just in closing, Peter, the title track is that song that everyone knows, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, but this time the cover's been done by the New Zealand superstar singer Lord.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll have to look out for that. Fantastic. All right, Selwyn, thank you for joining us this morning. Have a great week, and we'll catch up with you week after next. You're away next week.
Couple of weeks
time. All right, have a good one. Thanks, Selwyn.
Okay, Peter.
Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz.
At Toyota Material Handling, when they say they mean business, they mean business. Forklift business, that is. There's never been a better time to purchase a new forklift from Toyota's massive range. And for a limited time, purchase any selected new Toyota 2.5-ton counterbalance forklift and get a free $500 Caltex Star Cash card. Score a great Toyota forklift deal and score free fuel. Call 1-800-425-438 or visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Terms and conditions apply. Offer ends July 31.
Hello. Frank Walker from National Tiles. With National Tiles' amazing under-tile heating, your floor tiles will be as warm as toast this winter. Whether you're building or renovating, insist on National Tiles' under-tile heating. And from less than $500 for an average bathroom floor, it's an excellent investment in your home's comfort. National Tiles' under-tile heating. The best $500 investment in home comfort you'll ever make.
This is Adelaide's FiveAA.
A possible shower and 14 today. It's 5:30. I'm Ann Stone. State Treasurer Tom Koutson-Tonis will deliver the 2016-17 state budget this afternoon. He's expected to announce a $258 million surplus, SA's first since the global financial crisis, but it's less than predicted in last December's mid-year review. And the opposition's Rob Lucas says unlike last year's jobs budget, he hopes this one actually delivers.
We can't afford to continue to be the state with the highest unemployment rate in the nation.